Warhammer 6th Edition, the game of fantasy battles. This is our second entree into this venerable classic. I don't know if this is Old Hammer or not. It's only about 20 years old. I think the cutoff date for Old Hammer is 25 years, but frankly, I don't care. This is the second game we played, and I've upgraded. Check this out. I have a reference sheet. I think this is the official one. It doesn't have the magic on it, which is interesting because I got some of the magic wrong in the first one, but that's okay. Hey, let's take a look at the armies. I'm going to go ahead and do the Dark Elves again. Same army list as last time, but this time I'm going to remember this Sorcerer Chief down here in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen has 3 dice during the magic phase, not just 2, and that's going to be important. I'll tell you why in a minute. The Corsairs here have Sea Dragon Cloaks. That is a 4-up save. I think I was rolling like 6-ups for these guys. They're going to be a little more sticky this time around. Then we have these boys in the front here. These are not Cold One Knights. They're simply Dark Riders, a little bit cheaper. And then we've got a unit of Standard Warriors here in the back with the spears. 500 points, I think right on the button for the points for these guys. 3 troop choices. Nothing special. A little bit of magic, but they're going up against an enemy that has some magic of their own. It's the Broman Empire, and we're using the Empire list to build this. Not all of these guys. This is like 800 points worth of dudes on the field right now. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, for sure, a Battle Wizard and a Captain. Again, it's a 500-point battle. We're using the supplement for those 500 points. We're trying to keep our leaders under 200 points, closer to 150. So we've got a captain with a warhorse, and then we have a battle wizard. He is a level 2 wizard, and that's why we're going to try to focus a little bit more on the magic and see if we can have some fun with that. So sorcerer versus level 2 battle wizard. Now, I have 2 options here, 2 different army lists that I can use for 500 points. I've found army list building is far more satisfying than I realized. It's therapeutic. It's an iterative process. If you like numbers, if you like, and not necessarily even for the min-maxing, but just for the intellectual exercise of, well, geez, I've got, 400 points so far. What can I do with this extra 100 points? And kind of adding and subtracting, seeing how many guys. Anyway, point is I made 2 500-point army lists. And in one of them, we're going to have 6 knights and a cannon and 10 spear boys with a banner. That's one of the lists. The other list I made has 12 bowmen, 10 guys with great swords. Now, these are not the Lance Connect type dudes, but they do have mostly 2-handed weapons. This guy's got an axe. We're going to call it a great sword. It's fine. And then we have 20 spears with a banner and a champion. So those are the 2 lists, and we're going to let the fates decide which list is going to be taken. On a 1, 2, 3, we'll bring the cannon, and on a 4, 5, 6, we'll bring the hordes. So with a result of a 1, we're going to go with the cannon and the knights. We're looking at the terrain. We've got a piece of impassable, blocks line of sight terrain. The entire terrain piece has that effect. We've got broken ground over here, does not block line of sight, but slows movement by half. And we've got a little pond that will block movement, but not line of sight. Now we need to figure out which of the... Now, again, I'm just going to declare that to be north. And we declare that because we're using the Warband supplement that will help us figure out our deployment zones. We're going to roll a d6 on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We'll use that setup. 6. Great. Oh, that one's an exciting one. Now, the tables are normally supposed to be 2 by 2 for the Warband. Well, 4 by 4. I'm gaming using 15mm figures. So when you hear me shouting out, oh, well, he's got a movement of 4, so that means he can march 4 inches. That's because I'm having all of my measurements for movement and shooting and magic and whatnot. We need to figure out which of our boys is going to be the attacker. It looks like player A and player B is all I need to know for now. High roller gets to choose whether they deploy on the sides or here in the center. And it's tied because that's how we start things here in the House of Wargaming. The blue die will be for the guys with the blue lizards, and the yellow die will be for the guys wearing the yellow and white. So we'll roll again. High roller is going to get to choose. The boys in blue decide they get to choose, and they want to split the enemy in half. The Dark Elves are going to start down here in this deployment zone. The Bromans have to deploy first, and after deployment is all said and done, we did alternating deployment. What we've got is the Broman spear over here on their left, supported by King Hopper, or Captain Hopper in this case, and the Drunken Wizard. You'll find out why I call him that here in a little bit. Nothing too particularly fancy here. We do have one banner wielder here. They're outnumbered. The Dark Elves have their spears over on this side. This unit does have the banner. It's got a musician, and this guy with the blue sideways mohawk is a champion. So not exactly a fair fight. Here's our Corsairs and our Sorcerer. If we look at the other side of the battlefield, things look interesting because you've got the Lizard Knights going up against the Knights. These guys have lances. These guys, the Dark Elves, have spears, and our Imperial Knights have lances. And of course, the Imperial Knights are backed up by the cannon. The cannon has a total range of 30 inches, but again, long ranges from 15 to 30. So the next question is, who has to go first? Or gets to decide whether they go first. We roll for initiative. And with a 5, the Bromans decide, we want you guys to go first. The Dark Elves, realizing that there's a lot of heavy hitters over here on their left flank, are going to deny the left flank. They're going to use these knights as ablative armor, if you will. They're going to throw everything they've got against the characters and this kind of understrength unit of spears. If they can knock this side of the battlefield off, now they are going to eat some cannon shots, let's be honest, right? With a range of 30 inches, they're going to take it. But the knights are going to be too slow, so we've effectively eliminated them from the battlefield. So that's it for movement. Our shooty boys don't have a shot at the spears, but they do have an open shot here. I'm at King Hopper. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, though, because after movement comes magic, and so we have a level 1 versus a level 2 wizard. What that means is that our level 1 guy, you get 2d6 plus an extra d6 for attack, and we'll drop that die. And a level 2 wizard gets 4d6 for defense. I forgot to point out, our Dark Elf will go with the same thing we did last time. He's got the fire spells, and our wizard over here is going to do, let's go with heaven, right? I mean, look at the banner. Those of you that know your world flags will understand why I chose that flag. Our Dank Sorcerer is a fire mage, and he's going to try to lay down the big fiery blast. He needs an 8 or better to succeed. We're going to roll all 3 dice. He's only got 1 chance to get this spell off. If we roll double 1s, that's really bad. Double 6s is really good. So we get a total of 9, which is now our drunken Path of the Drunken Heaven Master. I guess he's been getting into the sacramental wine. He is going to try to roll all 4 of his dispel dice to try and beat. If he can get 9 or better, then he'll dispel that magic. Bear in mind, this can be dangerous. With rolling more dice, there's more of a chance I roll 2 1s. If you roll a pair of 1s, then you automatically fail the dispel. If you roll 2 6s, you automatically succeed. But either way, otherwise, if you beat the active caster's number, which we did, then that spell has no effect. So we're done with that. Now we can do our shooty at Mr. Character. We are within 12 inches, so we are within range. The Corsairs have a ballistic skill of, we'll double check, 4, which means they hit on 3s or better, unless they're firing at long range, in which case they hit on 4s, and unless they're shooting at a character, he's just a single guy, in which case they are going to be hitting on 5s. The good news is, so the bad news is only the first 5 guys get to fire. The good news is they have an attack of 2 when they are shooting their little repeater crossbows. So 10 dice, looking for 5s to hit. We'll call that a 6. 6s always hit. So out of all 10 of those dice, we only wind up with 3 hits. Then we roll 4. So it's roll to hit. Now we got to roll to wound. And with a strength of 3, we're only wounding on 4s. Hey, look at that. We got a couple of them. And now we have a couple of saves for King Hopper. Because he has a barding and heavy armor, and he's on a horse, and I bought the shield, although we're not doing pure WYSIWYG, are we? Anything but a 1 will save those wounds. So a 2 and a 3 means that all of that shooting did them no good. That's the end of the turn. We don't have anything else for these guys to do. Let me check my handy-dandy cheat sheet. It is magic shooting, and we don't have any melee, so now the Bromans get to do their movement. So the first thing we do is declare charge. Our spearmen are going to hold. We're going to wait for these guys to come to us. We want that cannon to do as much good as possible. So we don't have any charges, but over here on the left, our knights have already moved up, and they only move a total of 8 inches. They wheeled around a little bit. They're going to have a hard time catching the fast cavalry. Meantime, over on this side, we can move our king into safety if we want, and I think that's all we really need to do is pull him over here. We want to take advantage of his ability, but we don't got him getting pin cushioned, so that will force the Corsairs to do something on their next turn. I think we're just about done. We do have magic on this side. Let's find out what the heavenly magic can do for us. With the tables reversed, our drunken wizard gets 4 dice to cast. The dark elf wizard, the sorcerer, only has 3 to dispel. So because we just have 1 wizard, right, it's a small kind of fight here. Should be pretty easy. We're going to cast a little thing called Uranon's Thunderbolt. Yeah, no, we're going to call it the Hammer of St. Michael. And this, you need a 9 or better to get that spell off. So he's going to cast that. If successful, this unit will take D6 Strength 4 hits with no armor save possible. Did we roll at least a 9? Not only did we roll at least a 9, we got 2 6s. So the spell automatically goes off. We can try to dispel, but we need 2 6s to cancel these 2 6s. And we don't get it. So the spell goes off, and we get D6 Strength 4 hits. So we get 4 Strength 4 hits, and we're going to make 4 wound checks. These guys have a toughness, so Strength 4 versus a toughness of 3 for these Corsairs. We'll double check our roster. Yep, toughness of 3. So we roll, and on 3s or better, the wound actually takes place. So we get a total of 3 guys are gone. Kablow! There are 12 guys here. The magic or the missile has done greater than 25% casualties. These spear guys have to take a panic check, and they can use the sorcerer's leadership of 8 for this. So we'll roll, and with a 10, they're going to be fine. Although, you know, that is kind of a kick in the teeth. Way to go, St. Michael. That's how we do. But I think we're done. No, we're not done with the turn. That's just the end of the missile phase. I'm sorry, the magic phase. Now we do have some Rudy-Tooty fresh and shooty on the boys in yellow side. This is one of those games where artillery fire is done by guesstimate. I am going to declare that the shot will land, I'm guessing somewhere about 6 inches away. Then I roll a d6 to find out how far the thing bounces. So I've already declared 6 inches. I'll place this down, this 6-inch ruler down. So it lands here plus an artillery die. In fact, let me put this down to mark that location. Now, normally the artillery die has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. In my case, I'm dividing by half. So 1 through 5, it'll move. We're going to move this marker that many inches towards our poor, hapless, cold ones, our lizard knights. If we roll a 6, that's a misfire. So we move this thing 5 inches forward, and it's going to land right here and maybe catch this guy. But it also bounces an additional die roll, 4 inches. So we have to put another one of these markers down right here, just off screen. Actually, it's just on screen. And anything that is on that line automatically goes kaput. So I'm going to rule that there's on a 1, 2, 3, we hit this guy. So on a 6, we've missed. So we overshot the cannonball, and we did no damage this round. Cannons are fickle. They do not a lot of damage, or they do all the damage. And now that will be the end of the first turn. On turn number 2, we have to declare any charges. We don't have any charges here, but we are going to move them. Does anybody have a charge? We do have a charge. These guys are going to charge the spears. Spear on spear. It's 9 versus 10, but we like it. And 5 inches will put us just in contact. What's the response going to be here? We're going to hold. We're going to take it. We got our boss at our backside. So we'll move these guys. Well, actually, I forgot. Do we have any compulsory moves? Do we move everybody and then do the charge? And at the end of movement, the situation looks a little like this. The shooters have just wheeled around about 90 degrees. They have opted to march, which gives them a total movement of 10 inches. They have a movement of 5. So they've stopped right here. That means that if our knights come up, the shooters will have a shot next turn. And now the cannon that's over there has to choose, is it going to fire at the knights? Bring it around so you can see. Is it going to fire at the knights or the corsairs? And the corsairs can start advancing as well. That's really what it boils down to. Now, our sorcerer has put himself in a position where he is 6 inches away from everybody. If our spears collapse, we can bring the fast riders in for a follow-up charge and hopefully still wipe these guys out. So that's about it. We don't have any shooting. We do have a melee. Let's take a little closer look at that melee. The Dark Elves have a weapon skill of 4, the humans a weapon skill of 3, meaning the Dark Elves are going to be hitting on 3s. There are 9 models, but we have a champion who rolls an extra die. So I'm going to roll a total of 10 dice. And we're hitting on anything but a 1 or a 2. 9 hits is really good. The guys they are attacking have a shield and light armor. Well, we got to roll to wound first. It's 3 versus 3. So we're going to be wounding on 4s or better. There's our roll. We'll call that a 3. We get a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. And then we have our save, and our save is going to be on a 5 or 6. And we got no saves. So the humans are going to lose a total of 4 guys to that combat. That leaves a total of 2, 4, 6 to counterattack, and they're only going to be hitting on 5s. So we roll, we get a total of 3 hits. That ain't too bad. They're going to be wounding on 4s. They get 3 hits, and then the warriors are defending with, how do the Dark Elf spearmen have, what do you call it? Nope, all they have is light armor. So they are saving on a 6. And they get 2 saves, so they only lose 1 guy. Now, I forgot when they lost the 3 due to the spell. No, I did roll for the save. The banners cancel each other out. So we have 1 dead to 4 dead. The Dark Elves have won this combat. All right, the humans... So the Imperial forces have to make a morale check. I'm going to move these corpses out of the way. They suffered 3 more casualties than they inflicted, meaning they'll have to take a break check at -3. They have a leadership of 8, which is not great. No, they don't. They have a leadership of 7, which is even worse, except their leader is behind them, so they have a leadership of 8. I think that means the target number they need to hit is an 11 in order to stand their ground. We get a 6. So they are broken. King Hopper, or Captain Hopper, I guess this is early in his career, he has to make a panic check to see if he breaks because he's within 3 inches. He's got a leadership of 8, and with a 5 he'll be okay. And our wizard is going to have to make a panic check as well. With a 3 he's also fine. So our spearmen are going to flee, and because they are on foot, we're going to check, and we roll a 7 to see how far they go. They do not have a musician, so they're going to run 3.5 inches away. Our spearmen are going to pursue, and they are going to roll 2d6, and they get a 7 as well. That means they have destroyed the human force. And if I understand this correctly, that force is immediately destroyed. We still move the spear guys up, and they are counted as having charged King Hopper. The impetus of their charge means that King Hopper will not have an opportunity to get away. But this melee is resolved on the next turn, or on the since we're at the top half of the second inning, that will be resolved at the bottom half of the second inning. And now we are done with the Dark Elves' turn. It is the human turn, and we're gonna have some issues here, aren't we? I'm gonna go a little out of turn order. We should have done. Oh, were these guys? These guys were back here. We did not have line of sight, I don't think. I moved him over so we don't. So the wizard didn't get a chance to cast a spell over here. So, and if he did have a chance, I forgot to take it. So we'll just move on with the bottom half turn 2. The Bromans now have to deal with the fact that their general is tied up in combat. This is not Hero Hammer. I don't think that's going to go very well at all. We do have to declare charges. We don't have any charges to declare. We do have some movement to do. We're going to leave our wizard out here for casting a spell. The only movement we have is that set of knights over there on the Dark Elves' left. And they're going to ride for Wrath, for Ruin, for a full 8 inches. We're only at 3x3, but that's okay. These guys are making good progress. If we need to, I wonder if we should have, we could give up a couple of inches of movement and expand by, basically these guys either have to go with 3x3 or 6 inches across. We're going to stick with 3x3. Fewer attacks, but they are really good. So I think we're better off with this. Then we do our magic. So we'll swing back around here to our dueling wizards. But we're going to try that same spell. We get 4 dice, and on a 9 or better, we're going to hit these guys with some buku damage. We got a total of 14. Is that 11, 12, 13, 14? And for the dispel, we get 3 dice. And with a 6, we fail. That means 4 hits on these guys. Well, D6 strength 4. So we did 1 strength 4 hit. 4 versus 4. We're gonna wound on a 4 or better, so we kill one of these guys. That's not enough. We really needed to take out 2 of them to force a panic check, and things are really falling apart for the Bromans all over the place. We do have one more thing we can do. Our cannon is going to realign. It spins in place, and it's going to fire 12 inches. That's where we're going to drop our first cannonball marker. Looking for a good bounce on this one. 12 inches is only right there. Probably should have gone a little further, but we will get a bounce of 5 inches. That's exactly what we needed. Here is 5 inches right there, and we're going to get this guy, kablow, is going to be wiped out. Well, it takes out 1 guy. We're just going to take out like that. Now, again, that's not enough to cause a break check because they didn't take enough damage in a single shot. But hey, of their heavy hitters, we've knocked them down to almost half strength. So we'll take that. We do have to handle this melee over here. The spearmen count as having charged. They are down to 8 guys. They still have their champion, so it's going to be 9 attacks. And they do get to attack with the spears in 2 ranks. They're going to get... Oh, let's check out exactly how ugly this gets. Captain Hopper there is going to wind up with a weapon skill of 5 versus weapon skill of 4 for the guys with the spears. And I guess there's something about, come to think of it, you only get 5 attacks because there's only 5 guys in contact with my boy, but we get 6 because the champion gets 2 attacks. So I should really re-roll that with just the 6 who are in contact with him. He has a weapon skill of 5. They've got a weapon skill of 4, normally hitting on 4s. That's going to be 2 hits on the king. And then we roll and we get boxcars. So the king takes 2 wounds, and he has to save both of these. And he saves on anything but a... what do you call it? Anything but a 1 because he's got the shield and the barding and the heavy, and he's on a horse. So he takes no damage. He does get to counterattack, and he's going to be hitting on 3s. But what did we buy for this guy? I think he's got the... Does he have the great weapon, or does he not? Yeah, he's got the great weapon. Heavy armor, shield, barding. There we go. So he's got the weapon skill. He's got a strength of 4 and a toughness of 4. Oh, so actually, those wounds should have been on 5s or 6s. All right, that's good to know. He does only have the 2... Oh, he's got 3 attacks, though. Wow, I'm kind of impressed there, Captain. So Captain gets 3 attacks. He's going to get, this is a 2, so he's only going to get 2 hits on the guys that he's fighting. And those 2 hits are going to be at a strength of 5. So normally we're wounding on 4s, but a strength of 4 versus a toughness of 3 means that, well, it means that we're wounding on 3s. So that's going to be 2 wounds. And then our boys here, they are going to save on 6s. They lose 2 more guys, and wouldn't you know it? Now, the result here is 2 to 2. It's a tie result. Because of the banner, we're at +1. Because of the extra rank here, I think we got 1 guy in the back rank. I think that means we tie, and nothing happens until the next round. But on the next round, we attack in the order of initiative, which means that Captain Hopper is going to attack this unit first. Am I doing that right? Talk to me, fellas. There's a comment section. Let's make sure I'm doing it right. That's the end of the second turn. And I got to tell you, I'm a little impressed with all of the movement and motion in this game. It's a little surprising, to be honest with you. It is now the Dark Elves' turn, and we're going to start off with declared charges. Our riders will charge the wizard here. And the wizard is going to, now if he runs, he has to run directly away, which puts him off the table. So he's gonna have to stand there and take it. Oh, that's gonna be very exciting. We don't have, the only other motion that we might have is to bring our sorcerer up to about here and maybe cast a spell. But that comes after movement. Are our riders within 9 inches? They're 8 inches away from the wizard, so they will be able to make contact. They're fast riders, so they can pivot the direction they need to. And we're going to wind up, thanks to how close this other melee is, we are going to wind up just having 1 guy in contact, but that's all right. I think one knight will be enough to deal with this guy. And on our next round, oh, that's right. You know what you can do? I think you can lap around on your next round. So we'll think of, I'll check the rules on that when we get to this melee. We're not to melee yet. We're just to magic. This guy is going to drop a spell on these knights. He's only 12 inches away. He's going to roll his 3 dice, and we're looking for a 5 or better. Our Dispeller is distracted because he's in melee. I think, I'm not even going to check because it's getting a little late and I want to get through this game. I'm assuming if you're in melee, you're a little too distracted to dispel an enemy spell. That's why we move first. We're going to get off the D4. We're going to roll D6 strength 4 hits against this unit. So 5 strength 4 hits. That's just across the board. The knights there have a toughness of 3, so we're wounding on 3s. We get a total of 3 hits, and we are going to save on, is it anything but a 1? Heavy armor, shield, and barding. Oh, you know, come to think of it, barding means that let's take a look at these guys. Barding means our guys only move, they're still within range, but barding means they move 1 inch less. So these guys should be back here, to be honest with you. And then this roll here is going to be 1 guy is eliminated. Then these guys get to fire. We still get 10 shots with those guys. And we're learning some valuable lessons. Don't charge lots of shooters. Let me count 2, 4. I think I'm missing one. Oh, here it is. Don't charge unsupported. Oh, boy. Oh, that's ugly. Our shooters are going to be hitting on, they have not moved. They are at short range. They're going to be hitting on definitely 4s. They're definitely missing on 1s. So we get a total of 8 hits. These hits are going to be wounding on 5s and 6s. And we get, the universe balances itself out. We also get to roll the save. And look at that. We lost another guy. So same thing. A little hard, but not enough to force a panic check on the knights. And we're done except for our melee right over here in this corner. You know, I think the spear guys won this combat last turn because they have a strength of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versus a strength of 1. And that would have made the difference that our boss man probably should have tried to make a panic check, and with a result of a, what was that, a 9, the difference of 1, that would be a 10, so he probably would have failed, but I forgot to do that. It's the second round of combat, and that means our attack 3, we're going to get to roll, and we're going to get 3 hits. We're hitting on 3s. Captain Hopper delivers 3 hits against guys who have toughness. Well, 5s are going to be, it's strength 4 versus toughness 3. 3 ups to wound. And then we've got a 6 to save, and they get no save. So he does 3 damage. 1, 2, and where's our last guy? Here's 3. So that's 3. Then we're going to attack with, we'll line it up 1, 2, 3, 4 attacks. Hitting on 5s, we get 2 hits. We get 2 wounds. We're wounding on 4 ups. Wait, strength 3 versus, no, just the 6. And then do we get a wound on there? And we do not. So this time, King Hopper is going to be outnumbered. So we got 3 hits for Captain, versus 0. Oh, but that's 1 for the banner, and it's 1 for outnumber, so 3 to 2. He's going to drive these guys off. So this is not supposed to be Hero Hammer. I feel like maybe I'm doing something wrong, that our boss man is able to take on a full unit of spearmen. But let's make our spearmen are going to make their check, and with a 6 plus 1, it's a 7. They're within 6 inches of their leader. They're going to stand their ground for 1 more turn. Now we can do this combat over here, where our Cold Rider, he's got a spear. That spear is going to be at a +1 strength because they charge this round. Oh, that might have been an issue for these guys, too. Be that as it may. Our poor, lonely wizard there is not great. He's got a weapon skill of 3. And he's going up against a guy on a horse who's got a weapon skill of 4. And the horse has a weapon skill of, let's see, who goes first? Well, first, right, so we got 2 attacks. 1 attack is going to be at hitting on 4s, and 1 is going to be hitting on 3s. So the yellow is hitting on 4, so we get 1 hit, and that's going to be strength 3, toughness 3, but because we charged, we're at +1, wounding on 3s, we get the wound, and then the wizard does not get a save, he dies. So that's the second unit that has been eliminated. The first unit for the Bromans, and that wizard has a points cost of 95 points. The spearmen, 10 guys at 7 points. The spearman was 100 points. The wizard is another 95. We're at 195 points. The game continues. But because they killed their opponent, do they race off the table? I don't think so. When you totally eliminate, let's find out what your options are. We are going to keep the Lizard Knight stationary. Normally they can make an overrun attack, but because we're only 2 inches from the edge of the table, we're going to leave these guys as is, and we're going to call that the end of the turn. That's the last of the morale checks. The next order of business is going to be the Broman turn. That means declaring a charge here. We're going to charge these shooters. The Knights are charging the Corsairs. The Corsairs opt to stand and shoot. They will shoot immediately, and all the normal rules apply. We still have 10 shots. They still have ballistic skill 4. Because they have not moved, they're going to hit on 3s or better. They get a total of 2, 4, 6 hits. Rolling to wound, they are only going to get 2 wounds out of that. And then, yeah, it's strength 3, toughness 3. And then we are going to save all of those. These guys have a 2-up save. They are crazy tough. Then we'll charge into melee. Kapow. Like so. With the lance, I think that's +2 strength on the melee. And we don't have any other... Oh, we do have a missile shot here. We're going to try to shoot the... what do we want to do? Shoot the general? No, let's try to shoot these guys over here. We have a maximum range of, it's 30 inches, which is pretty... Oh, I don't want to measure first. We're gonna call it... we're gonna try to shoot 24 inches, which will take us to right there. So that shot will land right here, and that's unfortunate. Anything higher than a 2, it's going to land off the table. So that's it for missile, and now we have a couple of melees to fight out. We've got a melee down here, in which case we've got a total of 6 attacks. We've got 3 knights, and we've got 3 horses that can also attack. The knights have a weapon skill of 4. The Corsairs have a weapon skill of 4. So it's 4s versus 4s. So our knights are going to be hitting on 4s, and our horses are going to be hitting on 5s. So we'll roll for those. We get no hits, and our knights are going to get 2 hits on the Corsairs. Those 2 hits are going to be, strength 5, so 2 wounds for that, and then because the Corsairs have those fancy cloaks, they have a 4-up save. It does them no good. They'll lose 2 guys. So 2 guys to no losses, but we have a second rank here, which means it'll be a difference of 1. The Corsairs have to make a morale check. Are they within 6 inches of their leader at this point? Ooh, we probably should have moved that leader a little further away. They are, just barely. So they can use his leadership. We add 1 to the roll, they get an 8, leader of 8. They're going to stand and fight for another turn. But because the knights have won, they do have the option of wrapping around, and that wraparound will occur down here on this side. So I'm going to move him right now so I don't forget that. We do have 1 more melee, which is Captain Hopper is going to be attacking the remnants of this spear unit. He's going to get a total of 2 hits versus, and those are going to be 2 wounds, so he will kill. We'll leave the champion in place. And then, oh, wait, we have to roll for saves. And it's going to be is it a 5 save or is it a 6 save? The spearmen for the Dark Elves, the Dark Elf warriors have spear and light armor, so they fail both of those saves. And our champion gets 2 attacks, and he's only going to hit, oh, you know what? He misses. He needs a 5 to hit. So with that, our champion is going to make a leadership check, and with the result of an 8 plus the 2 for the losses, he's going to panic, and he's going to run 6 inches. Captain Hopper is going to pursue, and he's going to overrun him, but he's going to move, well, this would be 3 inches. He's going to get a result of a 14, meaning Hopper is going to ride him down 7 inches. So that brings him to right here. In a straight line, he will split the difference between his enemies. Not that it makes that much difference, but that is the first of the Dark Elves to go down, and that unit is worth a total of 180 points. No, that can't be right. The Dark Elf Spear unit is worth 150 points. 12 warriors, 150. So we're looking pretty good, except that we're still badly outnumbered on this side of the battlefield, and it's not our turn anymore. These guys can pivot. Fast cavalry can make a free change direction at the start of their turn. They'll declare a charge here. He's going to be forced to flee. I've pulled back to show the edge of the battlefield. Captain Hopper has to ride 3d6 inches away. Not a great roll. With a result of a 6, he's only going to move 3 inches to here. Then our pursuit is going to, well, what happens? Do we put him in contact first? They're immediately moved. Then we rally fleeing troops, which we don't. Compulsory moves. Now we move the chargers, and that's not going to bring him to safety because they can move a grand total of 9 inches. And Hopper is still not going to get his countercharge. I think the game ends at this point. Because Captain Hopper was not able to get away from his pursuit, because they made contact with a fleeing enemy, the fleeing enemy is overrun and destroyed, which pushes the Broman Empire over the 250. They were already at like 245. So I think the Bromans have lost this one. I think strategically the Dark Elves made the right choice. Cut them in half, put everything you've got against half of the Bromans, overwhelm them quickly, and that way their heavy knights and their cannon can't have terrible effect. Did I do this right, you guys? Next game we play, we're going to try to up the ante a little bit. We'll try some of the missions for these war bands and not just do a straight, can you kill half the other guys? There's a few things in here. This is how we learn the game. I'm going to have to retreat. I'm going to reread the rules. I'm going to key in on a couple of things, like what happens when you tie. Can you overlap? I mean, I guess if this was a tie, could we overlap these guys? There are rules for what happens in subsequent turns where you can change your formation to bring more weight to bear. I don't know if we want to do that with the Corsairs that are armed with the little shooty bits. But I think overall, one of the things I want to say is, and I said this earlier in the video, there's a lot more motion in this game than I expected. Warhammer Fantasy Battles has a reputation for line them up, run straight at each other, and that's the game. What we've seen today is that there is plenty of scope for, you know what, even with a rank and flank, you can line up a guy over here, and then particularly when you've got cold ones, these lizard riders, they get a movement of 9, for crying out loud, on this 36-inch table. In 2 turns, they can completely swing around and hit the enemy where they least expect it. Even these guys are charging with a full 7 inches. In 3 turns, they can cross the table this way. And in 4, I mean, that's, you still got 3 turns left. 3 turns to get over, 1 to charge. You've still got 3 turns left to do some stabby bits with the big red lances.